Shalom, shalom, and once again, shalom. This is Doc Hurts of God's Vision Ministry with God's business plan. This is lesson 2 of 3. I've already did the first lesson plan of 1 of 3, and this is God's business plan 2 of 3. And in it, we talked before about God's business plan, because we talked about Matthew 22 and 39 when Jesus was asked a question, but it talks about he must be about his Father's business. And yes, there is a business when it comes to God. So just give me a moment as we go through some of this little technicality stuff here. I tell you. Okay. So we want to look at the purpose of business. When you think about business, what is its purpose? Because we know that business does have a purpose. And what is the purpose for business? And if you look at the screen, you'll see it looks like people are having fun and money is falling down. And you would think, well, what is the purpose of having business? And most of you would say, what? To do what? Make money, right? So let's look and see in God's business plan. Nope. Making money is not the number one purpose of doing business. The number one purpose is customer service. Listen, customer service. That's number one. How you treat others. Even the Bible talks about loving God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. And it says the second is as unto the first, to love your neighbor as yourself. Meaning that in business, you would treat them fairly, you would treat them rightly, and you're treating them like you want to be treated. So customer service must always be at the forefront. With good customer service, money will follow. But if money leads, you remember the love of money is what? The Bible tells you it's the root of all evil. But to love your neighbor as yourself, come on now, it's right there with loving God. And so as you do, according to the scriptures, but according to life, you will have good success. Now I want to show you back. This is going to take you back in time. When I was growing up, the stores that we had were what was called mom and pop stores. Mom and pop stores. These were little neighborhood stores usually. Sometimes they were either little corner houses where maybe somebody even sold what they call frozen cups or the candy lady. And the little neighborhood places where people sold things, right? But one of the things about the mom and pop stores, they had certain policies in place and you would get used to them as you begin to travel out throughout the city. And they had a no return policy, meaning that, hey, if you bought it, it might have didn't fit, it wasn't the right color, she doesn't want it right. They had a policy that they would say most of the time, because once they did their cash register, they just couldn't afford to have you take it, maybe wear it, not satisfied, come back a day or two later, or come back the same day. So they just said no returns. And so because this was maybe the only store in town, or maybe just the only little thing in the neighborhood, you dealt with it and you put up with it. But all of a sudden in the marketplace, something else happens and take place. And I want to show you what that is. That is Kmart. Kmart was a super center. Kmart was a big store. So what would happen at the bigger stores? At the bigger stores, Kmart came in and says, hey, if you've got an item You return it, and we'll let you trade it back in. We'll let you get the right size. In other words, the customer service began to be better than the mom and pops was offering. Yes, they had a bigger variety, but that's not really what began to take the base. They had better customer service, because sometimes when you're the only game in town, all of a sudden you begin to act like it. And I want you to look at how in your life, how are you treating your customers? Who are your customers? In the Christian life, how do you treat people? After a while, if you're the only one in town, sometimes you can start to be I'm not gonna say abusive, but all of a sudden you feel, hey, empowered. I don't have to worry about how you feel because you got to come to me. But when someone else opens up shop and they have better customer service, what do you think is going to happen to your customer base when they come in with a customer service? And we all know that Kmart took off. Yes, Kmart took off. And when you went to Kmart, if you notice, right here it says they would take returns if you had a receipt. In other words, you show that you bought this from here, Kmart would take your stuff in. Well, Kmart was the biggest growing shopping centers all over America. Later on, here comes a place called Walmart. And they came up with the smile button. They had a smile on their face. And one of the things that they said was they're coming in with a new system. If you bought a product from Walmart, you didn't necessarily need a receipt because you might have got home and lost it or threw it in the trash, but you had the thing there, you didn't really use it. Walmart said, if you bring it back, we'll scan it, run it through our processes, and we'll either give you your money back or give you another one. Now we're offering better customer service. And all of a sudden, Walmart began to take off because of its customer service. You may not think it means much, but it really means a lot. Now, here is Walmart. As stores we look, it's global now. But one of the things when Walmart first came in, it says we are offering Buy American. Not only did they have a smile and they said our prices are lower, they said we buy American. And that began to perpetrate Walmart to be the biggest store, not just in the United States, but all over the world. Does businesses all over the world. And remember what I said, customer service. Well, won't be long. Here comes another company. You see it on the screen. It's called Amazon. And Amazon says you don't got to even leave your house. You can sit there in your easy chair. We'll bring the products to you. And we'll do it faster. We'll do it cheaper. We'll get it to you faster than the United States Post Office can. And we'll compete with the stores because we'll sell you all types of products, even some of the products you see in those other stores, the mom and pop stores, the chain stores. We will provide that product, and all you got to do is sit down and just click your clicker and watch your phone. Customer service. It may not seem like much, but we went from companies who were having a mom and pop from $1,000 to now we're dealing with Amazon, which deals in billions of dollars. Employees, transportation service, God's business. Now, here we are back at the church. I want to ask you a question. Are most Christians today conducting God's business from their iPhone or from a laptop or their easy chair? Think about it. Christians used to go to church, participate in church. Some got educated in the church. Some would spend hours on that was their entertainment. They weren't running out behind basketball and football. Majority of Christians were in the churches. And now what is happening? How do you treat Christians? You treat them like customers that they got to come to me and I've got to tell you this. And all of a sudden you find yourself never having things to ingratiate them. They are your members. But would your members be considered in business your customers? Will your customers say faithful because they know you're faithful to them? Because they know you're going to look out for their best interests at heart? Or do they sit on the iPhone and the laptop and decide that they'd rather do church from afar? God's business plan. And the reason I'm taking you through this, because I want you to understand, as we go back further into the Word of God, to understand, just like we did business at the corner stores and we had relationship with the corner store owners, and we learned life lessons about goods, services, and products. So watch video number 1, as it then watch video number 2, and get ready for the final finale on video number 3, as I talk to you about God's business plan. 3 principles about God's business plan, how it works out for your life, your church, and your community. Money is not the number one thing. Customer service. Bottom line, how you treat people. Till we meet again, share with a neighbor, share with a friend. Tell them, hey, you need to check out God's business plan. Shalom. Shalom. And once again, shalom.